Hey lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ayo. Thank you for stopping by again. And if this is your first time on this channel, you're definitely welcome. Do well to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you get to see more of my content. So in this tutorial today, I'm going to show you how to make an underbust corset dress with cut together sleeve. And without further ado, let's get started. So for this tutorial guys, we are going to be making use of this light crepe material, and this is 2.5 yards. So guys, the first thing we need to do is to go ahead and cut the lower part. All right, we are going to cut the material that we're going to use for the pleated part here, and this is so that we do not have joining later on. Of course, we are going to be joining a little bit, but if you cut the upper part first, you would need to join up to like 3 times and all right. So I suggest that you cut the lower part out of it first before you start cutting the upper part. Okay. Alright guys, so as you can observe, the lower part has a knife pleat, and what we need to do is to go ahead and multiply our waist circumference times 3, and whatever answer we get, we are going to add additional 3 inches to that. In this case of this tutorial, the waist circumference is 34, and I multiplied that by 3 and it gave me 102, and I'm going to add 3 inches to that to give me 105. So 105 is going to be the width of the skirt part, okay, and the length is going to be your gown length minus your half length. Okay. All right guys, so we can go ahead and proceed with drafting the upper part. All right, so here I have my pattern paper here, and as you can see, I have my start line drawn out already. So I'm just going to start by indicating all the vertical lines starting from the bust point. I'll go ahead and mark a straight line on the bust point, and afterwards I will mark a straight line on the under bust line, and then I will also indicate the waist line. So right here guys, we have the bust point, we have the under bust line, and also we have the waist line. And for this tutorial guys, the waist is going to be lower than usual. Okay, as you can see on the style, the waist is lower than usual. So what we need to do is to go ahead and add 2 inches away from the waistline. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and add 2.5, and the ½ inch is going to be for joining allowance, and the 2 inches is going to be the waist extension. And the next thing I'll do guys is to come to the start line here, and I'm going to indicate the shoulder measurement divided by 2. In this case it is 7.5 inches, and I just indicated that. And the next thing is the neckline, and I'm using the width of 3 inches and the depth of also 3 inches. Okay, and I'll just go ahead and create the neckline. And since it's a cut together, I'm just going to go ahead and extend from the shoulder line here. I'm going to extend it by adding a sleeve to it. All right, so what I will do is just to go ahead and measure 8.5 inches here for the sleeve. All right, and the next thing I will do is to come to that point and come down by ½ inch, and I'm going to go ahead and link the ½ inch to the neck area in order to create our shoulder slope. And the next thing to do is to create the sleeve opening. So I'm going to place my tape rule on the start line, and I'm going to mark 10 inches for the sleeve opening, and I'm just going to link it together on a straight line like so. And here I'm just using another marker to highlight the sleeve opening since the other marker is fade. And the next thing to do guys is to start imputing the body measurement from the bust to the underbust to the waistline. All right, to the waist circumference I mean. So I'm just going to start from the underbust, and I will impute quarter of my underbust on this underbust line. And I will do the same for the waist. I'll input quarter of the waist circumference plus 1 inch, and after doing that I'll just create a straight line with those points. All right, and the next thing to do is to go to the bust point and impute quarter of the bust circumference plus 1 inch on the bust point, and then we'll connect the point together. All right, so the next thing I'll do is to connect the sleeve opening to the bust point like so. All right, and up next I'll just create a curve around this area like that. So in order to create the curve, you can just come down from the bust point by 1.5 or 2 inches, then you create the curve. And before modifying this front piece further, I'll just go ahead and cut it out first so that we can use it to cut our back piece. So here is the pattern for the back piece, and the first thing I will do is to go ahead and create the allowance for the zip, okay, and afterwards I'll just go ahead and retrace the front piece on the pattern paper for the back piece. And after retracing, I'll just go ahead and remove the front piece from the back piece. And the next thing I will do is to try to create the back slant in order to eliminate zipper bulge, okay? So what I'll do is to go ahead and find the actual waistline, which is 15.5 in this case. So I will indicate the actual waistline here. And from there, I'll just go in by 1/2 inch. And after coming in by 1/2 inch, I'll just go ahead and link that point to meet the center back like so. And after that, I'll come to the zipper allowance here on the waist area, and I'll come in by 1/2 inch. And from that point that I came in, I'm going to extend it outwards like this, and I'm going to repeat the same process to the upper part here, just to imitate a slant line for the back. And after doing that, I'll just go ahead and extend the waistline to meet the zipper area, and I will shade this part that we are going to cut off later on. And the next thing to do is to replace the 1/2 inch that we took out from the waist area. We are going to replace it on the side, okay? So I'll just replace the 1/2 inch here, and I will link it up with the other part. So here guys, I'm just trying to smooth in the curve so that the allowance falls on the waist area itself, okay? And I'll just go ahead and extend the actual waistline like so. And the next thing to do is to create the neckline, and here I use the width of 3 inches just like we did for the front, and for the depth of it we are going to be using 7 inches. The back has a V-neck, so we are using 7 inches, and the next thing to do is to connect the point together. And up next, I'll just go ahead and cut out the back pattern. So right here guys, this is the back pattern. Then we just go ahead and finish off our front piece. And to do this, we are going to come to the underbust, and we are going to go up by 2 inches. All right, and I just indicated that here. And I'm going to come to the side, and on the underbust line here, I'm going to come down by 1/2 inch, okay? And I just marked that, and we are going to connect those two lines together. All right guys, so I'm just going to name both pattern A and B before cutting it out. All right guys, so the next thing to do at this point is to create slash lines on this part that I named A. All right, so I'm just going to create a slash line of 2 inches distance. So here I'm just going to go ahead and start marking 2 inches on the down part here. All right, and after doing that, I'm just going to connect it on a straight line to meet up with the shoulder, okay? All right, so the next thing I'll do is to name each panel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? And the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut out this panel, and you're not going to cut it through, you're just going to leave a small point. So I'm just going to slash the lines without cutting it through. So right here guys, this is what is left of our material after cutting the lower part. So what I'm going to do is to fold it, and we're going to be cutting the upper part on the remaining of this material. So right here guys, I placed the back piece on it, and we are going to first of all cut the back piece. And here guys, I have the upper part that will slash. I have it on the material like this, and please note the material is on fold, okay? So I went ahead to spread it, and the inches in between is actually 2 inches. All right, and right now I'll go ahead and cut out the pattern. And on the down part here, I'm going to add 1/2 inch joining allowance. And up next, I'll just pick this part that I label B, and I'm going to cut on the fabric as well. And as you can see here, I left 1/2 inch joining allowance, and I'm going to go ahead and cut another piece for it. I'm going to be cutting 2 pieces of this particular part. And after cutting the front piece, this is what the band looks like. All right, and we have 2 pieces of this part like I said earlier on, and this other part, the upper part here, we are going to pleat it later on. So I'll just go ahead and remove the pin, and I will also go ahead and notch the center like so. And when you open it up, this is what you would have. And later on, we are going to go ahead and align both pieces like so, and we are going to pleat this upper part. Like I said, it's not really hard to do. So the next thing we are going to do is to cut a facing for the neckline, or you can use a bias. So here guys, I've gone ahead to cut facing for both the back piece and also the front piece. So here guys, I've gone ahead to attach the facing to the front piece, and I also repeated the same thing on the back piece. And the next thing to do guys is to pick the upper piece, and we are going to pleat it on the band. So I'm going to pick the upper piece, and I'm going to align it directly on the band, right side facing right side, and I'm going to pleat on it, okay? And that is exactly what I've done here. As you can see, I've joined both parts together, and this is what it looks like on the front. And when you flip it to the back, this is what it looks like on the back. So when making pleats like this, I always like to start from the center. I will pleat from the center to one side and from the center to the other side, and this will make equal distribution of the pleat across the garment. So I went ahead to iron a stay on this part, and you can do that as well. And the next thing we need to do is to pick up the other piece, and we are going to align the center to the center of the other piece like so. We are going to pin it together, and you're going to align it properly, then we are going to stitch it, okay? And that's exactly what I've done here. Flipping it to the wrong side, this is what you would have. Alright guys, so the next thing to do is to fold it together like so, and we are going to notch the center point. And up next, I will align the front and the back together, and the first thing I'm going to do is to go ahead and join together on the shoulder. And so here guys, I've already gone ahead to join the shoulders together, and the next thing I will do is to go ahead and join the sides. So on the waistline, I'm going to measure half of my waist circumference, and I'll do the same for the underbust. All right, and from the sleeve opening here, I'll take 1 inch or less than that and connect it to what I have marked on the underbust, and from the underbust to the waistline. And that's exactly what I've done here. I've gone ahead to join the sides together, and this is what it looks like on the wrong side. And the next thing to do is to go ahead and cut out band for the sleeve, okay? I totally forgot this part, and I had to go ahead and be joining pieces together, but no problem. So here is the band, and the length of the band is actually 5.5. You can go ahead and cut out 5 inches for the length, or even more than that, depends on you. And the width of the band is actually the sleeve round. So I'm just going to measure what I have on the sleeve opening here, and I'm going to fold my band into 2, and I'm going to measure that out on the band. Then I'm going to stitch it, and afterward I'm going to turn the band like this, okay? Then after turning it, we are going to attach it to the sleeve. And that's exactly what I've done here guys. I've attached the band to the sleeve, as we can see here. And the next thing to do is to work on the skirt part. and here is the skirt part that we cut out earlier on. And here I have some joining here because the material was not enough for what we calculated earlier on, so I joined this part together, and I'm going to iron it, and we are going to use it. And the first thing that we're going to do to this piece is to go ahead and fold it on the hemline. All right, and the next thing to do is to come to the waist area here, and we are going to indicate the zipper allowance. Remember that we added 3 inches earlier on, so this part, this edge of the material is going to carry 1.5, and the other end is also going to carry 1.5 for the zipper allowance. And right from the zipper allowance, I'm going to start marking to 2 inches till I get to the other end of the material. And here guys, to pleat, I will skip the first 2 inches and move to the third one, and I will pleat it towards the zipper allowance here. All right, I will align it properly and I will pin it. Okay, and next again, I will skip one point and I will move to the other, then I will pleat it like so. Okay, and that is what I will do all through the waist area. Okay, skip one, then you are going to pleat it towards the other like this. So guys, after pleating it, I went ahead to stitch it down on the sewing machine, and the next thing to do is to confirm that you have your waist circumference and your zip allowance. And the next thing you need to do is to iron it properly. However, there's no power supply right now, so I'll just go ahead and attach the upper part to this lower part, and I'm going to attach zipper to it, and I'll show you what it looks like. And right about now, this is what our dress is looking like. I've also gone ahead to attach a zipper to it, and this is what it looks like on the mannequin. Thanks for watching. Do well to give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful, and I'll see you in my next video.